Yo.
Include you in it?
Dude, I like how steady this thing is. Do I need to take a picture? You guys just going to take it from the video? Okay. Yeah, do the same thing with his head, man.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Deer Shop Podcast, presented by Siman Brothers Outdoors and the Leaky John Boat Company.
He went and watched a movie that has a $200 million production budget, and then the next thing he watched was our video on YouTube that has a $0 production budget.
This is the first buck I've shot in over 10 years.
Your track job was the first fun track job. They kind of like, I think part of my life was influenced by that night.
Then you miss him 3 times with a rifle at 70 yards on video for the whole world to see.
That's what Caleb did. 5 years ago, we couldn't shoot a deer at 100 yards with a slug gun. Now you're shooting turkeys at 100 yards with a shotgun.
Joey takes
The shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers. You can't leave anything. All right, guys. Deer Shop Podcast, episode 113. As you can see, you are in my basement. Me and Ethan, morning podcast. It is Friday,
October 3rd.
It is Friday, October 3rd. You will be listening to this on Monday, October 6th.
Sure.
If you are listening to this podcast or you're watching this podcast on Monday afternoon on YouTube, please go to our channel, Siman Brothers Outdoors, and watch Deer Camp Chronicles Season 3, Episode 3. The title of the episode is called The Storm, but it'll be the latest episode on that playlist. And that is the complete story of what we are going to be talking about today, which was my hunt for a buck that we called 7-card stud, my opening day Ohio archery whitetail. It's rare territory for me.
It's the best film that we've ever laid down on the channel.
Yeah, that's the first thing I have written here in my notes. Please go watch it because, honestly, we've been filming since 2006. We've been uploading our videos on the internet since 2009. We've hunted in probably 10 states and made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hunting videos. And this footage on this episode of my buck, 7-card stud, Saturday, opening day, Saturday evening's buck that I killed. That's the best hunting footage and the best hunting video that we have ever made. It actually probably falls into the category of too good, to be honest with you. There's going to be a lot of people who are like, oh, well,
yeah,
my gosh, it must be easy to sit up in your tower stand over your perfect food plot and just kill this big buck that comes in on camera that close. It went from, we film so often and so much that it's so hard to put together quality hunting films to compete with the big dogs, that when you do finally get that just master class of filming, it's out of place. It really does almost look out of place.
And it is fucking nice because we put a lot of effort into it.
Oh, man. The only people who, I mean, there's some people in the audience that are listening that'll understand, but it's our families and our friends, and the people that we're close with that really know the effort we put into it.
Yeah.
Especially my wife having to deal with me being me and doing all this stuff. I mean, the amount of things that I've put off at home over the years and just the way priorities shift in the late summer and fall to make something like this happen, unless you experience it, you just don't know the effort put in, and it finally all came together in just the most perfect way. Isaac did an absolute 10 out of 10 masterclass of filming with the cameras. It was incredible. It was incredible.
I mean, this summer we probably combined put 40 hours of work into that one single plot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get into it later on in this podcast. We're going to talk about the journey to get to where we are, just the way the season shaped up and the way that this plot ended up being the epicenter of our operation on the home farm, and it's nice. Perfect. Yeah, it's tough to get there. I don't even know. It's still starting to kind of sink in, but for the audience, I was able to kill my target buck, my number one hit lister, the deer that I made a decision early on, about midsummer, that was going to be the buck that I was going to pursue this year. I was able to kill him opening night in the most perfect way. Like I said, the video's live, so please go watch it. Tell us what you think. Leave a comment. I want to thank the listeners, the podcast listeners, specifically people listening on Spotify, Apple, all the streaming services in your car or wherever. Second week in a row, most listened to week of the podcast we've ever had. So things are ramping up at the perfect time. We did have a gaffe last week and didn't get the podcast out till probably almost noon or 1 o'clock on Monday. This one will be ready 5:15 a.m. Monday morning on your drive to work. So hopefully you are listening to it in your car for that. We like to make sure we always have that podcast out, but it's brutal busy, and especially last week. Last weekend I killed that buck, and all the stuff that we were doing, I wasn't able to get the podcast that we had recorded that afternoon edited in time because we just don't have time. There's not enough time in the day.
Not enough. Not nearly enough.
Yeah, not nearly enough.
It's funny. You called it your hitless buck, but it's the farm's hitless buck.
Yeah,
so it's whoever's in the seat that night is going to kill the buck. It's not, we don't. I have a hitless buck this year just because I have a permission piece that I gained.
Yep.
But if I was hunting the farm and that buck walked in front of me, Caleb's not going to be spiteful that I shot him.
The neighbors would definitely none of the neighbors would have passed that deer.
No.
The amount of messages I got from people local or where I killed it, or I was at the bar a couple nights ago and one of the bartenders came up to me and was like, "Hey, you're the guy who just killed that big old buck? Where was that at?" My husband, he wanted to know, and he was asking. He thinks it's, and I'm like, I gave away as much information as I could, but it just feels good, and we appreciate the listeners listening. We're trying to put out a product for the listeners with the YouTube and the podcast as close to a full-time production as possible from guys that aren't full-time in the hunting industry. I am working this current week that we're on right now. I'm working 96 hours at the fire station and an additional 4 at the other one. There's just not enough time to get stuff done. And I know there's going to be some of the audience, those guys take all November off, and it's not November yet. For one, it's not November yet.
I did have the whole week off.
Yeah, how was that?
I didn't do anything. It's hot. Shit wind.
Hot. We're going to get into that too. For everyone else that's been hunting, it's been a little bit rough, I think. But wanted to thank the audience, wanted to thank the listeners. And because of that, we're going to get into some shout outs right away. It's been a little bit since we've done shout outs. I know there's probably a good amount of people listening to this podcast, watching this podcast on YouTube. So we want to talk about some of the comments we've had in the last month. Just to get back to the audience, it's a perfect time to do it since it's just me and Ethan up here trying to ramble on for as long as we can. On the podcast comments, so people actually commented on Spotify and Apple, which does help us, by the way. If you leave a review, stars, like the episode, whatever, leave comments, whatever you can do on those apps really helps to push it to the next level. We don't spend any money on promotion for our YouTube and our podcasts. There's a lot of guys that do. There's a lot of guys that try to hawk the promotion. We simply post on our pages and hope that word of mouth grows it. We're not sponsored, so we don't have that kind of money to push towards a promotional budget. Would we work on something like that in the future? I don't know. We always kind of kick that bucket around. But as of right now, no sponsorship money. We're not promoting anything other than you guys listening, telling your friends, us posting on our own social medias and our word of mouth. So if you go on the podcast apps that you're listening, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whichever one you're using, I know there's a bunch of other ones, and you leave stars and you leave comments, that is how we gain
traction,
outside
how we grow.
Audience. Right.
So it is appreciated.
It is appreciated. I'm going to speak straight to Jeremy because I know he's listening. And Jeremy, I don't know your last name because your profile just says Jeremy on there, but you're the one that hates Luke or hated Luke's opinion on fixed blade broadheads. And I appreciate you leaving a comment saying that we're allowed to have him back on now that he's pulling back a little bit on his broadhead.
Is that on Spotify?
I think it's on the Spotify app.
Okay,
yes.
so I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard to read the Apple comments and the Spotify comments. The apps don't play together very well. We upload everything to one app and it sends it out. So then all the feedback we got to kind of. It's hard to explain. But.
So did Jeremy ban Luke from our channel?
I don't know. He said don't have that guy back on, but then he reeled it back in and. Luke is back on. But guess what, Jeremy? I used a mechanical broadhead, and it was the most perfect shot ever, and the deer died good and dead.
And it killed him dead.
Two deer. A fixed blade head probably would have done the exact same thing. But
a field point would have done the same thing.
But that we're still, Swacker's what I used, and Swacker's what I've used on both my bucks this year, and I'm fed up with them. Fed up in a good way. They've been pretty good. To switch to a company that's not owned by some giant conglomeration, it's still a good mechanical large cutting diameter head.
I think it is
owned flat.
I think it is owned by a giant company, but it's made in America, so that's all that matters.
Well, I did some research on that, and I also want to reach out on the podcast comments to Keith. Like I said, doesn't show last name, so I don't know which Keith it is, but it's the only Keith that's been commenting. Harmer, and I don't know if he meant to say Hammer or Harmer, but the Harmer Tavern in Marietta, he wants us to come down and have a beer with him. We will be down there. I'm not sure when I'll make it down to our cabin down there, or to Chris's cabin down there that we hunt with him. But we will be down there at some point this season, and maybe we'll look into it. If we spend a couple days down there, we'll swing in the Harmer Tavern. I'll try and leave a comment. I don't know how to get a hold of you, Keith, but maybe I'll just run in the bar and yell, Keith, the Deer Shot Podcast.
See who turns around.
Yeah, the Deer Shot Podcast is
Hopefully there's not two Keiths.
It might be a couple Keiths. YouTube comments. Bryce Hart. Do hounds scare deer? I had a little conversation with him in the comments or comment section of one of the videos. Can't remember which one it was, but
I seen that.
he was curious on our opinion on whether hounds scare deer when hunting. And I will be dead honest with you. We don't have any hound hunters really left here in Northeast Ohio. People used to run coon dogs. There were some squirrel dogs, but that kind of thing is dead here. Everything is blocked up, small pieces of property. No one has enough land to run coon dogs anymore. So I don't have an answer on that. As I said in those comments, it'd be cool to see a thermal drone, those nighttime thermal drone studies with coon dogs chasing coons and deer, and see what happens. How much does it displace them? Do they go back to that bed? Do they leave for the night? After everything moves through the area, does the deer then leave? Like, that would be a cool thing to see.
Maybe we could slide that suggestion over to the whitetail research guy.
Maybe.
Like, hey, can you look at this and see what happens?
Whitetail research guy did get back to us and said he would do a podcast, but I told him, since he's been making the podcast rounds lately, he's been on every podcast that I can think of. So I told him, don't even worry about us right now. Do your season, do your podcast tour, come up, do something this season with your drone, whatever it is you're doing, something newer, and then maybe we'll talk about it after the season when it's kind of about died back down.
He said he was actively hunting. I talked to him as well. He was actively hunting this year, which is cool. Good for him.
Yeah, I mean,
he took the year off, did some cool stuff.
I would
back
be
in the woods.
I would be hunting too if I was him. Craig Hartman, do we still love our wise eyes? Yes, we do, very much so. The only thing that I have a complaint wise with the wise eye, out of everything about them, the only thing I complain about with the wise eye is sometimes the batteries go fast. The battery life doesn't last very good. My caveat to that is, A, we're mostly running our cameras on video mode. This time of year, they're taking a lot of videos at night, which is the worst thing for the batteries. B, I use the cheapest batteries possible because we buy so many of them, 300 packs in bulk, like literally truckloads of batteries coming through here. So if I would use a better quality battery, that would be even better. C, I'm using alkalines. If I was using lithiums, they would be even better than that. And D, the places that are important, we've been using the external batteries.
And those work awesome.
Holy moly, do those work awesome. You only have to charge, we're replacing that external battery once every 2, 3, 4 weeks. Cameras don't die. They take videos all night long on core piles, and they just rip.
That one card has 28 gigs of data on it.
Yeah, right. I mean, just ripping with those external batteries. Spaniel makes them for us, or, Deer Shot Podcast, Matt Spaniel, he's the one who builds them all for us, and I just float him some money, and we just put them out on all the trail cameras, and they works awesome. So if you're a serious trail camera, get those external batteries.
I think eventually it'll...
It's a 12-volt rechargeable, right?
Yeah.
Or 6-volt? 12-volt.
12-volt. Eventually we'll go to all of that.
Yeah.
And just run normal batteries in our non-cells, which will last for a year.
Yeah, because we don't... Yeah, and that would work perfect. Yeah. I was going to go somewhere else with the batteries and the trail camera. I got an argument online with a guy the other day saying he can run his Blackgate trail cameras 3 times as cheap as the Wise Eye trail cameras. And I was like, there's no way that's true. But I looked in the plans. The guy was running a 25 MB plan for $3 a month per camera. He's like, well, Wise Eye only has the $7 or $9 lowest. If you run just one camera. Is
that like a quarter of a
25? Yeah. Like you just said, your memory card on that corn pile is 28 gigs. This is 25 MB.
No,
not even close.
It would be filled up in a night of coons.
Oh yeah, and so he was correct. I will concede to him that he was fully correct. You can run a $3 a month plan on a Blackgate with 25 MB, which gives you about 250 pictures, I think.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Apologize for the barking. Rose is mad at something upstairs. I don't know. She's an old dog now, and she barks at stuff, and there's nothing we can do about it. James Angle. He had a comment about he was anti-drone. He appreciated our kind of not that we're super anti-drone. We're anti-drone for some things, but he appreciated our stance of being on that anti-drone with the regulations being tighter, and then he appreciates the talk about baiting. How in the last couple we have talked about how like we don't prefer hunting over bait, but there's so many situations where it is a good thing. And he talked about how where he's hunting, I think it's in New Jersey. He used to do the whole mountain pack in hunt, see one deer a week, kill a good buck, But then now that he has kids, having corn piles out his backyard with a couple preset stands is like the greatest thing ever, and time consuming.
Hunt how you want.
It helps him be better to manage his time, and
Yeah.
and so he appreciated that, which we'll talk about baiting a little bit here in a minute. Brian Prinzel, I guess I have written down here. Thanks for all the kind words. So I appreciate what you've been saying. Buckeye Doe Downer and Christopher Long both complained about not having overlays in the videos, and that's my fault. Once again, I'll apologize for that. It's very hard to, like I talked about earlier, we're trying to do a full-time production on a part-time budget and a part-time time. So like when I get this podcast all made up and we're running out of time, sometimes to sit there and add in all those overlays that you guys want to see, which I do agree would be great. And some of our earlier videos had all that. It's too time consuming at times. So I apologize for that. Buckeye Doe Downer, Christopher Long. I think I'm going to pause for 1 second. I'll see what the hell is wrong with Rhodey.
That's fine.
Audience, real quick pause.
He's back.
I'm back. Now you can just hear the clickety clack of my old dog's feet on the floor underneath the camera there, but it is what
Do
it
you have another one of that Bucky Doe Downer?
is. I don't think so. Should
That's the one that commented on Luke.
What about Luke?
That he called Luke a douchebag.
Oh, that guy called Luke a douche?
Yeah.
Maybe that's Jeremy.
It's Bucky Doe Downer.
Bucky Doe Downer.
Yes.
Bucky Doe Downer. Are you Jeremy? But, what do you call Luke a douche for?
The fixed
broadheads
leg.
again? Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh.
Said mechanicals are way better. That's all I have to hear to label anyone as an uneducated douchebag. And then I kind of got mad.
He said mechanicals are better? Or, Luke's saying that mechanicals are better. I want to touch on that. Let's get controversial for a second. It keeps getting brought up amongst our audience, and people seem to take a hard stance on that. I don't care what broadhead you shoot. As long as you're doing everything in your set in your ways and you love what you're doing, that's fine. What I'm going to say is the guys that are so stuck on either fixed blade heads are two people that I've met in my life. Old school guys that have been brought up that way, like Uncle Jay, guys that have been shooting fixed blade broadheads, know how to tune their bows, old school hunters, and I can appreciate that. Or new era, young kid D-bag types that watch Hunting Public and the Ranch Fairy, and you got to have your 600 grain arrow to pop through a deer and all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. I say the word D-bag and it's going to get some people riled up, but if you are hunting whitetails in the east and even most of the west, you should have mechanical heads on your arrow. The people that are going to sit here and say, my broadhead didn't open or didn't go through the shoulder or all these different things, they're not taking responsibility for their literally just bad shots. Mechanical broadheads in the vitals will kill a deer dead 100% of the time. I know there's all these stories about, I found a rage in my deer's cage. Like, you didn't, though. I mean, you may have, but mechanical broadheads for whitetails in the east, especially when you're hunting from elevated positions, tree stands, trying to shoot through deer's lungs and hearts. If you're still using a small cut on contact, watch the newest THP videos. If you want an example, go watch these THP videos. These deer don't die fast. Jake put a good shot on this buck, up, down, everything is what you want. The thing lived for like 4 hours and wandered around this field bleeding and bedding and suffering. If he would have been using an expandable 2-inch cut on contact, a Swacker, a Rage, or whatever, Beast even if you want to use those, that deer dies in 40 yards. Just piles up and dies. It's, if you want the fixed blade head because you're afraid you're shooting through a shoulder or shooting through brush, you need to ask yourself a little bit, what is my goal here? Are you using the fixed blade head to curb your error on your shot or make it so you can maybe stretch it a little bit? Like, it's kind of thick in there, but I can push through it because I got a fixed blade head. Or maybe he's quartering too big. I'm just going to punch through that shoulder. And that's not the right answer to me.
No.
That is,
I
to
agree
me,
with
I
that.
mean, and that's just, we're not calling fixed hip blade users douchebags, but that does seem to be the comment we get the most lately on our podcast is these guys are just real fed up about this broadhead, mechanical, and fixed blade debate back and forth. And we're strong team mechanicals over here.
Yeah.
Strong team mechanicals.
Yeah, that guy commented saying, I hate, it's, what do you say? It was more of a category replacement than a shout out. So he categorized Luke as a douchebag, not calling him a douchebag.
Well, Luke isn't a douchebag. He's a pretty cool guy, actually.
Yeah.
Kills a lot of deer with mechanical broadheads.
We all do.
Gene Pelissier. Do you always use a safety line? Yes. To be fair, we don't use safety lines climbing up the majority of the time, but I clip in when I'm at the top stick before stepping over into my stand, and I wear a safety harness and lineman's rope for safety 100% of the time that I'm in a tree stand.
Yeah, the only
Without
time
question.
I'm not. Is if I'm leaving my stuff in the stand and I leave my safety line attached to the tree and I just climb down with my harness.
Yeah, and then you can
Then
clip
I'm
it.
not
You can go
attached.
back and clip in when you get
Yeah.
to the top every time. I don't step off the top stick because my hand is so. Just for everyone to listen, I climb up and my hands are on the tree. My left hand, my right hand. One of my hands is always on the tree. My body's on the sticks. I clip into my harness or clip my harness onto the tree before I take a step off the top stick onto this tree stand, and I'm always 3 points of contact. I got my left hand. Usually it's my left hand, depending on the orientation of how I'm doing things. Left hand's on the tree. Clip in with my right hand. Take the step onto the stand. That way, if I slip and fall in the transfer, or if the stand fails, I'm tethered in and I don't die. Because I have a little kid and I can't die at home, or can't die and leave her at home alone with no daddy. Plus, falling out of the tree when you're a big fat man hurts.
Yeah, no good.
No good.
I had a fellow first responder text me last night asking if we use safety lines in our tree stands, just randomly.
So a lot of guys, if money, and I'll be honest with you, if we were truly safe, we would use a safety line on the way up with a Prusik, just a
Yeah,
single
I watch
but we don't have the money,
Seth Perkins, Bearded Butchers.
Yep.
He posts all the time with him and his kids, obviously, if they're young kids. He has the hunter safety system line going all the way up and down his tree stand.
Our buddy Tyler has some of those in his stands because he's not very nimbly. I remember he always had a safety line like that. It's a money thing. If I had the money to put a safety line like that in every tree stand, I probably would. But it's very hard to be able to afford that. Yeah. So,
and when I say I leave my safety line in the tree, it's there for less than 12 hours, not in weather, not overnight.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I go in the morning and I go in the evening.
Rope man too, right?
Yeah.
That's what I have as well. So you don't want to leave that stuff in the
No.
weather. But, I mean, one hunt here and there, not going to hurt anything. MLS platforms, do you do the Maine Moose Lottery? No. But maybe we'll start because that sounds kind of fun. I've been seeing some stuff on that, and we do have a moose hunting story coming. So maybe even next week in the podcast, I might try to get Isaac to get that taken care of for next week, honestly. The next podcast might be a moose hunt in Alaska.
We'll see. We do the elk. I put in for all the elk in the eastern states, the Kentucky, the Pennsylvania, the Tennessee, and Virginia. I put in for all 4 every year.
Okay.
With no luck, obviously.
Hunter just killed one down there, right?
Yeah, he bought his. So his was like an auction type deal.
Yeah.
But I'm just putting in for the regular lottery.
Because we're poor.
Yeah.
Hunting public solo. You guys need shooting practice. It was on video of Nick missing his buck last year. And I don't know what to say to that because we do shoot a lot. And
misses
we have shot a lot. Misses do happen.
It's funny because Nick.
I hope you watch the last 2 episodes of Deer Camp Chronicles Hunting Public Solo because you'll see a lot of good shooting going on.
It's funny because Nick actually prioritized shooting his bow last year.
Yeah, he was better. He's a better shot than I am.
Yeah.
He
went to a TAC event. We shot a couple times in the yard. We shot at places. We did 3D shoots. Like we did the whole 9. And he just miss happens in the woods. It's crazy to think about,
I've been shooting the same bow for I think 10 years now, and same bow and arrow setup for 10 years. I've changed the rest once or twice, a couple different strings. I shoot it in my backyard. I shoot at the shop. I'm very comfortable with my bow. I've put thousands and thousands and thousands of arrows through it. So kind of an ignorant comment, but whatever, it's fun.
I like shooting my bow too much. I shoot it too much.
I don't enjoy shooting. It's funny if you know anything about the brothers and us. I actually don't shoot that much. I don't enjoy shooting as much recreationally as like some of the guys do, but I enjoy the hunting. And then random guy on Facebook, who I forgot you are in the one group, he said that fireworks buck photo wasn't ours and we're a bunch of douchebags.
Oh yeah,
so that was fun.
Had a couple people defend us on that. So
that was fun. So thank you to everyone who stood up for us when the guy was trying to say that we're trying to take credit for something that wasn't ours, because it is. We're going to go straight into Ethan's hunting real quick, because this will be quick.
Yeah.
How has your season been going?
It's a game of cat and mouse where there is no mouse.
I mean, mouse is there.
Mouse is there, just not when I'm there.
1:30 until 4:30 this morning.
He's coming into the bait pile, which I am not actively hunting over because I hate hunting over bait. It's just in the area to attract him.
Yeah.
And it's just not working out. We gotta rethink some plans, gotta move some stands, move some cameras.
I did a lot of looking at it yesterday in the maps and thinking, and I was there's some keys to this deer that tell us what he's kind of been doing. We think he has 2 kind of main home ranges where he's bedding and spending his mornings and evenings, and then the farm that Ethan got permission on that's hunting, which is only 14 acres of wood. So you're trying to kill this giant mature buck that's at least 7, 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
on a 14-acre piece of woods that is in between two of his main home ranges. Because, yes, we got some daytime activity of this buck preseason, but since the season has opened up, he's only been doing, late night feeding, sometimes within an hour and a half or so, 2 hours of daylight, which
on
if
either
you're a
side,
true-
night and morning.
if you're a true deer hunter, that doesn't mean much at all. There's a lot of movement that happens in those last 2 hours. So
Yeah, and I went in there and I found some good sign, and I thought I knew where he was bedding at, and the camera has suggested otherwise, and me hunting has also suggested otherwise.
yeah, the other mature buck he was running with has been MIA since the opening day. So we haven't, or before that even, we haven't
Yeah,
seen
about a week
him
before probably.
We haven't seen the other mature buck he's with. So he obviously has kind of pushed that deer out, and there's just a couple dinks. We've been getting dinks.
Yeah.
There. It's weird. There's a whole bunch of 1.5-year-olds and then him right now for this last week.
And
there's no random 2-year-old, maybe a small racked, smaller body 2-year-old, but no random 120-inch 8 points, no random 4-year-old showing up. Like, it is him and these dinks and then some mature does.
we've had him on camera since July,
Yeah.
and he has been on camera with 2 other deer the whole time. The other mature buck,
Yep.
and then one random night, I think it was after the other mature buck left, he was with a dink. And other than that, he is not with any other deer ever.
Right. He does not come in and eat on this midnight corn, apple / mineral / Kool-Aid / whatever pile you have of bait going on over there. He's only coming in by himself or with that other mature buck who was incredibly mature as well. They kind of like bachelored up as buddies during the summer because it was just those 2 bucks together all summer. And now that other buck's gone, this guy's alone. He's expressing dominant mature buck behavior. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's the king of the block.
Yeah, and this deer,
100%.
his rack is built for kicking the shit out of anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we would really love to be able to tell the story, and there's only 2 ways it gets told. Ethan kills this deer or someone else does, and we show it. So we really hope it's Ethan killing this deer. We've gathered some intel over the last couple weeks that he's old.
Yeah.
Been around, and people know about him, and he's old, and he's just
I mean, yeah,
incredible.
there's film from the road, so he's not shy.
Yeah, just incredible.
Definitely a fun experience trying to hunt him.
Yeah, the hunting lately has been kind of rough because of how hot it's been. We had a blood moon a couple days ago, which I'm not a big moon fan believer, but the morning movement's been way better than the evening movement.
Yeah.
The movement in the morning on the trail cameras up until about 11:30 noon is incredible. Evening doesn't start till later, and then the overnight's been okay. It's just been so hot. And the deer are on the acorns. It's pretty obvious that the deer are feeding.
Yeah, in
on
my
the
permission
acorns.
piece, there's acorns everywhere. I think the whole 14 acres.
Is it reds or whites?
It's the rounded, not the pointed.
Whites, which is good. So that, I mean, in that,
But
that
they're
could-
everywhere. So
and
like,
that could be
can't
part of
pin-
your problem.
Yeah,
He
you
could
can't
be
pinpoint
browse
it.
feeding anywhere in that 14 acres, and you're not going to get him on camera. It
Yeah.
just is what it is. But he could be there. That's why you got to keep doing these sits with smart winds and just trying.
It's 14 acres that I can hunt, but the block of woods is bigger than that.
Yeah. Well, the block is bigger. You only have You
Yeah.
only have permission on the 14. So that is what it is. Yeah. I guess it's time to talk about 7 card. It's
Yeah.
time to talk about 7 card stud, the buck I killed. My opening day buck. If you're a listener of the podcast or a watcher of the videos, you know that I was coming into the season hoping to get a chance at killing split ear. He's a buck that me and Isaac and Ethan passed continuously last year. He was 3 or 4 years old. We thought he was 3, but man, he might have been 4. He had a completely split left ear. We found one of his sheds. He was very regular. We talked about him at length. Everything we did food plot wise and getting the farm set up this year was to try to get a shot at split ear. And he, as you also know, disappeared June 2nd. He just pulled a classic Siman Brothers Outdoors. We have a deer in mind that we're in love with, and this one day there's just never any footage of him ever again. They just disappear, gone from the face of the earth. Fat Bastard did it. The Wolf did it. Now Split Ear did it. 3 of the most famous bucks we've ever hunted. Combined probably 10 sheds of those 3 bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I got piles of antlers, thousands of trail camera videos, encounters in person with those 3 bucks, and they just vanish on a specific day. I guess I could put Stanky Jr. in that category too. He was around until November 14th a couple years ago and just vanished. Obviously, mortality of other bucks, cars, and hunters is there. And someone might have these deer on their wall, and we just
Yeah,
don't know.
Spindles did the same thing last year too. We had him all summer, and then all fall, and then gun season walked away from the watering hole and gone forever.
Which probably got shot.
Yeah.
I've talked to all the neighbors. No one said they killed him or recovered him, but that doesn't mean he's not laying in a ditch somewhere. But so when you have a farm like ours, family's been there 87 years now. You get to know the spots, know the locations. We're running cameras on these areas. You get to know the deer. We watch them from fawn till death. And it, split ear is another prime example of one of those bucks that just disappeared June 2nd. Had him on the camera all over the farm during turkey season with his split ear, which made him easy. He had a split brow and was starting good, and then he just disappeared.
We were really excited
We were
in the
excited.
spring.
We were excited in the spring. So around that time, though, this buck that we ended up eventually calling 7 card started showing up and hitting mineral lick. We had one main mineral lick on the farm. There's 2 secondaries, but one main that's been there for 13 years.
Long time.
He started hitting that mineral lick at least weekly, sometimes multiple times a week, and a lot of times in daylight. And at first, with the size of his body, which wasn't very big, we had him on the do not shoot list. We thought he was probably 3 years old. And I was just saving pictures of him and kind of keeping an eye on him. But he was kind of becoming the bigger hit list buck and the more dominant hit list buck on the farm as time was going. Judd is still around. That was a deer that we passed a bunch last year. He was a heavy 8-point with short tines. That deer came right back, got a little bit bigger. He's super heavy. He's mature. He's on the farm and has been all summer too, and we're still getting him. He's actually running the farm right now. He was Split Ear's running mate, but these two started hanging out together. So I don't know if possibly 7 card came in and Split Ear just didn't like it and is living somewhere close by, and we just don't know, which is a possibility.
We can hope for that.
We can hope for that. Or Split Ear died and 7 card kind of filled the void. But regardless.
And it's funny because when 7 card was growing, he had that same split brow
Yes. They had
Split-eared.
identical split brows, but 7 card's ear was not split, so it was obviously not hit.
unless he got plastic surgery.
7 card falls into the category of some of my other great archery bucks, Traveler and Massey, of deer that just showed up on the farm in the summer, and we watched them all summer with no history of the previous year. We kind of can think and dabble and suggest that these deer were a deer, but we don't really know. There's no definitive proof that they were a deer that we ever had on the farm. 7 card fits that mold. He started using a thermal hub in daylight a lot on the south side of our farm. It's where it's technically 3 ridges with a curve, so 2 valleys meet and form one. So 3 creeks kind of come together, flowing south, and all these points come together. I was running a non-cell down there on video mode, and we were getting that deer on camera and on the cell camera in daylight very, very often. Midday, he was changing his bedding from one ridge to another. 11 o'clock in the morning, he'd come through in velvet. So it was exciting knowing that this deer was bedding close and utilizing the farm well. We took a lot of pressure off the farm this year, even more so than years past, just continuing to have less and less pressure. We didn't have a summer party. We weren't up there messing around, riding four-wheelers around as much as we were in the past. We weren't in the woods as much just because we were so busy. Mm-hmm. So the woods became more and more of a sanctuary. And I think some of the surrounding neighbors selling off their bigger farms and lotting things off has kind of changed the dynamic there as well. There's less people baiting nonstop and running minerals nonstop and hunting these guys year-round as before. So the deer were able to be a lot more comfortable. We had big plans to get a stand hung in that thermal hub for this mid to late October time period, and we haven't done it yet. And I don't know, we might if it works for Isaac to kill a buck, because he's kind of the one hunting the farm pretty heavy at this point. Once he gets back, he's been in St. John's, and that's why he's not here with us.
Antigua,
on his honeymoon. So that's why there's no Isaac right now. We'll get into that story too. But the farm was less pressured this year, and as a result, this buck was daylight and just hanging out a lot. Our crop situation was not good, though. We had winter wheat, which was good until it started to turn yellow, obviously, and mature out. When winter wheat's short, deer love it.
Yeah,
Turkeys love it.
Last year's awesome.
As it matures and then turns into, straw and stuff, it's, obviously not a very good food source. So we emphasized the food plots heavily. We had an existing clover chicory plot that we had frost seeded, kept mowed, used cleth on, put a screening around. I really spent a lot of time making that plot as palatable as possible. The drought was hurting that, so we weren't getting a ton of growth on it. We had that wet spring, which helped kickstart it, but then, man, the summer, as you guys know, anyone in the Northeast, was so dry. And then we had another plot, the Seafield plot, which was in really bad shape, hadn't been messed with for a couple years. We decided to do a complete redo on that plot. We tilled it under in the spring, early summer, planted domain overhaul.
Yeah, because
we actually had to do it twice because Isaac accidentally spread too much seed the first time. Ethan had to come back, buy another jar of it, spread it a second time, get it cul-de-paced in. We were going to do that just to try to build the soil up and have some green matter in this plot over the summer.
And last year it was beans. The farmer kept it
Yep.
beans
Yep.
and then did not harvest the beans in that corner. So it was just beans, standing beans all.
Standing beans were in that food plot, and they were obviously eaten down to nothing. We had some old clover in there that was gone, and there was that weed of some kind I looked up that was in there, and it just wasn't very palatable. Yeah. The other attraction in that corner is my double watering hole, the land bridge watering hole we've talked about a lot. I have a pretty good size watering hole that's actually 2 with an island land bridge in the middle. That we have been keeping up with for the deer for 6 or 7 years now, making it as perfect as possible so they don't have to go down to drink and all the.
Did Seven Card walk across the land bridge?
He had not that night.
I know he has,
but he has walked across the land bridge a couple times. And there's some there's some old red oak trees on the other side of it, and it's red oaks transitioning into water and open woods transitioning into this food plot transitioning into what became a hay seeding. Midsummer, the farmer got a hay seeding in, which is mainly alfalfa, and it started slow because of the lack of rain. Unfortunately, It just it was real.
But then that last week it boomed.
It was real slow. When those rains came in, it really exploded, and right now it's starting to look really, really good. Obviously, he would probably like it to be a little taller right now, but
yeah, that
hay seeding is looking good. Regardless, we had to do the overdrive in the summer, let it grow up. It got really weedy, brushy, thick. In some places it was 5-6 feet tall of just weeds and all the stuff that's.
You found that dead deer in it, right?
I found a dead fawn with scour, which is like a diarrhea situation in it. That water hole had that one buck that looked like he might have EHD or CWD, kind of leaning towards more of some kind of virus and or CWD because his ribs were showing. And then we had the buzzards on there. So that EHD scare was in this exact same area. That EHD scare really messed with us because there was a period where 7 Card went from being on the cameras all the time with all the other mature bucks to like maybe 3 to 4 week period where we got nothing.
And we were on vacation in the middle of it, so we were out of state, and we were like, holy shit.
Yeah, we were doing our summer hurricane fight. We were trying to do our shark fishing trip, which majorly failed because we got hit by Hurricane Aaron. No mature bucks on camera. Down in the dumps when it comes to that stuff. But I remember the day we got back, we started getting videos of him again in the thermal hub and in the area where I ended up killing him. So he was back in town. It's weird. He transformed from like, well, we're probably not going to shoot this deer because, he's just kind of like a spindly 3-year-old to like something happened and his antlers just exploded. Like one day it was like, whoa, holy shit. That's a 150-inch buck.
That's a mature deer.
That's a 150-inch deer. I actually sent a lot of pictures around of this deer to some guys on the internet, some people I know, Zach Kaiser, some of our, our hunting buddies, the group chat guys, Nick, Aaron, Matt, those guys. He had the face and the rack and the mannerisms of a mature deer, but his body was just so small. And maybe it was partially because of the way his rack made him look so big, because he didn't have a lot of mass, but he's just framey with tall G2s and G3s and just longer beams.
But he had a long face.
He had a really super long face and a blocky forehead. So, and not having history, we really didn't know. So was he a stud 3-year-old? Possibly. Was he probably a good 4-year-old? Above average 4-year-old with the rack wise? That's kind of what we're leaning to now. But I kept the jawbone.
Yeah, are you
Madison's keeping the jawbone. We'll send it in. So
are you keeping the Kentucky one as well?
Yep, I'm sending
them
both jawbones for my Kentucky buck and my Ohio buck. But so we went in and I call it a crimp job on this food plot. August was rolling around. We need to get some stuff in the ground. I went in and spread Domain Big Sexy, a ton of it. Which is a Nebraska blend that we used last year that deer really loved. Spread it all around in this existing growing overdrive, the Domain overdrive or overhaul. Spread it in that. Then I came through with my ATV pull behind sprayer and hit it with Roundup heavy. Just drove through all the overhaul, hit it real heavy with the Roundup, and then came in with the tractor and the cultipacker, the heavy. We have this beautiful heavy ass cultipacker, and just crushed all that matter that had all that green matter that was covered in Roundup, just crushed it into the ground, a couple different passes, flattened that 6-foot tall weeds food plot into inches. I'd remember specifically the very next morning or 2 mornings later, we got 7 Card at 10 o'clock in the morning, just walking. It's a beautiful trail camera video of him, just full velvet, looking like a stud, just walking right across that food plot. And that's when it started to click in my mind that life is starting to look good. All right. The food plots are in, the bucks are back. They're doing stuff. This situation might be possible in this corner. You know, we really started talking about how we might be able to kill this deer early season in this food plot in this corner if it grows. The drought hit. The drought hit hard, and it stunted a lot of things, but including that hayfield, our clover plots just weren't growing that good. The beans in the area all turned yellow instantly.
Quick.
Yeah.
Like,
it went from like,
within
we got
a
some
week.
green beans. Some of these might still be green when the season's coming in a month or so. Boom. All yellow.
Yeah.
Leaved out. It changed the food sources a lot. And I think it helped mature the acorns too, because man, did the acorns start raining a little bit after that. And the deer switched to the acorns as a food source. That plot, though, because I did that crimp job, pushed all that green matter down, and the fact that it does sit in a shaded area that doesn't start getting sun until later in the morning, like 11 o'clock is when it starts really getting, 10, 11 o'clock starts getting good direct sunlight, and it's lower in that field and there's water nearby, I think it held a lot of ground moisture and dew, and
For
that
sure,
crimp
yeah.
job created like a moisture barrier. We did get one rain right after I planted, and then the drought hit. And for some reason, you know, whether it be the domain seeds being great or just the way I did that food plot, no tilling, with crimping down and kind of using the brush, it started growing really good. There was a couple bare spots where my seeding might not have been proper, but man, did that brassica plot really start growing good when everything else was not doing well. And you could see the benefits of it because the deer were entering into this open hayfield. This field's probably 3 or 4 acres, shaped like a C. They were entering this hayfield through that plot every time, whether they were walking through to hit the water first and take a drink and then go out, whether they were hitting those red oak trees I talked about that kind of surround the watering hole and then come out. The fact that I keep the woods around that corner, one side is completely obstructed, thick, nasty, blow down trees. The west side is just nasty, hard to see through. But the south side, I always keep it clean. More so for the turkey hunting. Every time there's any blowdowns or any type of brush that comes through there, I cut it down, throw it off the edge because there's a real steep ravine that curves through there, and I keep the south side of that food plot extremely open. So you can stand there on the field edge and see 100 yards in, 125 yards in. I do that on purpose. The other side of the food plot, which would be to the west, can't see 10 yards. Literally can't see 10 yards.
And in the late season, all the deer come off the flat over there through that hard edge.
Yep. The hard edge.
That's how they enter the field.
The deer
in
enter
the late
through the
season.
hard edge in the late season, but during the turkeys love the open edge. They love strutting through and walking out into that field. It's just what they do. And these bucks were walking. It's weird. These bucks have been walking the edge, so they're coming out along the water hole, which is where the hard edge and the soft edge meet. The water is the divider. Everything west of the water, thicker than hell, multiflora rows, blown down massive old ash trees and shit. I can't see 10 feet. To the east of the water is wide open. See 100 yards. And they walk that edge and they enter out into this food plot 22 yards away from my blind. So things are shaping up. We got some timely rains late. The food plot really started to explode. The hay fields really started to explode.
We put a rye seeding in.
I have that written down right here. We went through and added cereal winter rye. Aaron Olson recommended it. I went and bought some at the local feed store, seeded that in a couple of our plots, and this one included right before those big rains to give it some extra green matter, and that's coming up. So thank you, Aaron, for that little tip. The cereal winter rye, I guess, is better because it'll grow as soon as every time there's a warm sprout, it'll grow a little bit and stay green and then kind of go dormant. It doesn't grow up like wheat and then flower, seed out, and get hard.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Aaron told me, and I don't know if it helped or not, but we did it. Let's see here, blah, blah, blah. I started checking cameras and getting ready for the season, a week or so before. I wanted to kind of keep the pressure off, but I was going around moving some stuff around. And I did notice that scrapes were starting to pop up in this food plot and around it, a couple rubs.
And those scrapes are there every year under the same
Yeah,
tree.
the scrapes are underneath the same trees every year, but they were, when you're seeing a week before season starts, when you're seeing 3 or 4 decent sized scrapes on the edge of your food plot in a row, you're like, all right. Evidence was showing him in this plot. As the season was getting closer, he started using my other plot, the one I talked about, the clover chicory and the screening, because there's a large acorn flat red oaks, mature 80 to 100-year-old oak trees by that food plot on the other side of the farm. He started using that in the mornings a lot. I was getting him hitting some scrapes. I was getting him working through that plot, heading towards the acorns. I was getting him on the acorns on some non-cell cameras in the mornings and in like 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was getting a little bit not worried, but I was getting a little bit like I might not have the hunt I want in this plot because that plot's kind of heating up, and I might have to do a morning sit because he's kind of coming through that plot and then heading off to bed in gray shooting light. Accessing it would have been really tough.
And for these two different plots, you need two exact opposite winds.
Yep, south plot for the morning, south wind for the morning plot he was using, and I need a northwest is ideal. We kind of had like a north. The wind was kind of weird that opening day, north-northeast, then switching to south. But I need a good northwest or west wind to really properly hunt the food plot I wanted to, and then a south for the other one. I can't hunt that one with a north wind, the morning plot at all. It'd be terribly bad.
Yeah, very bad. And we did a little bit something different for the stand location. We moved the trailer blind in on the edge of the food plot.
So I had a stand for years and years and years in that food plot. It was a stand that it was a food plot that I missed hook out of or hit hook, or me and Isaac both shot a hook out of that food plot and hit him and or wounded him years past from this exact stand. It was on the list for the Family Dream Farm episodes videos. It was on the list of stands that I wanted to pull and redo this year. I sent Isaac to do it, and he said, "Man, this stand is grown into the tree, and you can't see shit, and the winds are iffy. Like, how about we abandon that stand setup and just put in this trailer blind so we can hunt the whole food plot with its south wind and not to worry about anything, and see out into the new alfalfa field?" So I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
So Isaac and Ethan took care of that in the last Family Dream Farm episode you guys saw if you watched it on YouTube. We haven't hunted it yet, but it's still there, and it was in play for opening weekend if we needed it to be. He had the deer shot party on Friday night, which was a great success. I had a lot of fun. A lot of people were there. Everything went well.
I was at work.
Ethan was at work. Didn't get really to enjoy it, but we cooked up some good venison. Matt Pavlik brought his velvet mule deer that he shot in New Mexico there. Uncle Jay was back from Alaska. He was there. The Born Again guys were there. Some of the Wild Time guys were there.
Our cousins were there.
Yeah, there was just a lot of our little cousins were there. All our friends were there. Just a good time. Everyone sat around, ate a bunch of venison tacos, and just crushed some food and drank some beers and watched hunting. And we watched Escanaba in the moonlight and the whole 9 yards and did all that stuff. We were up really, really late. Kind of felt like crap the next morning, but the next day came, opening day. We podcasted. We were kind of slow moving. We don't hunt mornings opening day anyways. Ethan got home from work. We weren't sure what we were going to do because of the wind and all this stuff. The plans for opening day were kind of up in the air. It was going to be very warm. Winds were iffy. We podcasted in the afternoon. You guys heard that last week, talking about, well, I'm not quite sure what we're going to do. Here's our plans. Here's what we got going on. But me and Isaac decided with this northeast wind, even though it was shifting to south right at last light, they said it was going to be a shift of wind at last light, which could blow out the field we're hunting next to. We decided, you know what, we're going in there anyways. It's opening day. If we mess it up a little bit, we got plenty of time to reconvene. He's using this other plot in the morning. We'll have backup plans. Isaac initially wasn't going to go, and then he changed his mind and decided he was going to go, which I am very, very thankful for that, because the fact that he went means he was able to just capture all this in just perfect detail. But we got in the stand early, hanging out. Had to clean it up a little bit first time of the year. Ethan had done us a solid and gone in there and killed most of the bees that were in there, or a lot of the bees, but there was a huge group of hornets hanging out right by Isaac's head in this flap down window. But if you don't bother them, they don't bother you. Mm-hmm. So they were fine. We had to clean out a little bit of raccoon shit, and it was full of acorns up there. But got the blind all situated, got all our camera stuff set up, got all our junk ready. Some deer came out in the fields early that evening. They were feeding on the other side of the hayfield. 4 or 5 does came out in different areas, went back into this bedding area that's north of us, mainly a doe bedding area. Some more kind of filtered out around 5:30, 6 o'clock. Flock of turkeys came through. The turkeys have been thick this year, and this flock of turkeys came through. We filmed them play with this fawn for a while. It was pretty cool. Or it's yearling, probably a year-old doe. They worked their way into their roost where they always go. A solo fawn came out. All the mature does and yearling does left the field, but a solo fawn came out and was hanging out, went down into the watering hole. And then I caught movement off to my left, which would be southwest, through the one corner window blind. It was a sixer, a little dinker sixer pointer. He came out and went straight to the corner of the food plot and the watering hole and started feeding on acorns. There's like one oak tree that leans over the watering hole food plot, and there's a couple more behind it. While we were hunting there, we just kept hearing bloop, bloop, as acorns were dropping into the water. This buck went straight to there, 22 yards to my west, little sixer. Might have been probably a year and a half old. I mean, he kind of had a good body. He might have been a small 2.5. He fed on acorns for a while. work through the plot too close. Actually, he was only at like 8 yards. He kind of
So
cornered
you have
in.
to look down.
Yeah, I had to look down out the window. He came too close. Went out into the field, started feeding. Not long after that, earlier too than I was expecting, but I was expecting the buck that we talked about way earlier, Judd, the heavy mature 8-point. He always seems to come out in the field first, so I was expecting to see him out in the field first for this hunt if I was going to, have what I wanted to have happen. But I caught a little bit of movement out to the southwest corner of the blind. I looked out the window along the watering hole on the edge of the soft and hard edge, and I could see a face. I could see the long snout. I'm like, well, there's a deer. I could see the antler tips, but it was kind of thick still. It's still green out. So I told Isaac, I'm not sure which one it is. Might be Judd, might be 7-card. And I remember he kind of turned his head to like look to the right. And I'm like, oh, it's 7-card. He's right there. And he's already at probably like 27 yards, but there's no shot out that window. I mean, I could have shot if I really, really wanted to, but there was no good shot on camera out that window. I'd had to do a lot of movement.
We avoid shooting out that window. I know what window you're talking about. We avoid it because there's
If
tree
you're
limbs that we
facing the
don't
watering
know.
hole, it's off to the left.
Yeah, you can't see it.
Yeah. So I see him there, and I'm like all of a sudden, it's like the music starts playing in your head. Doom, 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 doom. Like this is happening and it's going down, right? So I actually get down. I turn on the secondary camera. So there's a camera in the corner of the blind watching me and Isaac's action. I turn that on, and it's cool because in that video you can see him walking through the one window, and he disappears behind the edge of the blind. The flap where there's canvas and you can't see out. So I quickly get out of my seat and I drop down to my knees and I clip my release of my bow. So I'm on my knees in the blind, staring out the northwest window.
Mm-hmm. Long window.
Long archery northwest window is the window I'm staring out. I can no longer see the watering hole. There's a little corner. There's a window in the middle that I just have a corner flap open that I can peek up and see the watering hole and where he's at. And he walked right along that watering hole, got to where that sixer was eating his acorns, and just started crunching on acorns. And this little fawn was drinking out of the watering hole, and he was watching her. And he spent probably 4 or 5 minutes right there just eating acorns, hanging out that fawn, looking around, looking back, snapping his head left and right, completely not on alert, completely not on edge, just relaxed. It was the opening hunt of the year, so he hadn't smelled humans in the woods in the evening yet, which is perfect for us. And he just ate acorns for about 4 or 5 minutes with Isaac, just perfect film, sitting in that corner with the camera. He had a great view of him. He could have shot him at any moment, didn't have his bow with him. But just, it would have been perfect if he was hunting. But so I'm on my knees, just kind of like peeking out this window. My knees are starting to hurt. My back's starting to hurt. My legs are starting to hurt. He finally starts to work his way into the food plot. He gets to where I can see him pretty clearly out the middle flap window. But Isaac keeps telling me to stand up and shoot. But I would have to stand up, draw my bow, and then like make sure I don't hit the canvas, which I'm really bad at. Because I've done it so many times. I've hit the blind trying to shoot off a blind. I tell him I'm not doing it. I'm waiting until he comes into this corner window. Isaac's filming. When he starts to make his move towards my corner window, I had already adjusted my pin. I had ranged everything in the food plot. I had my pin at 30, but then with where he was, I adjusted my pin back down to 20. He starts to make his move. And I'll never forget, you can hear it in all the videos and you'll see it. As I start to draw, my bow starts to squeak. I had put oil on my rest a couple weeks before when I'd been shooting a lot before Kentucky. So like my bow drew really nice for Kentucky, but it makes a squeak. So I stopped drawing and I looked out the window. I made some movement that was risky and looked out the window again. And he hadn't heard it and or it wasn't bothering him. He was continuing his walk. So I make the draw with the squeak. And he just walks out into the food plot. I was able to lean out, perfectly clear view, 20 yards. I didn't even stop him. He was still walking. I just had the pin resting right behind the shoulder on the pocket. Release was flawless. Arrow flight was flawless. Center 12 ringed him. Just absolute 12 ringed him. Isaac captured it all perfectly. He did a wild mule kick where he almost flipped all the way over. Blood was instantly squirting out both sides. I got a pass through, but the arrow was still in him, so the broadhead was sticking out the other side, fletchings on one side. Quarter moon, ran down around the food plot, down behind the blind, let out a crazy loud roar, just a death roar, fell down in this ravine. 99% sure he was dead then, obviously, but at the time we just didn't quite know because he had left view from where I could see. He was in the thick. But that's when, we're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Smoked him, or high-fiving. Just, it was a very, very good feeling. We're just sitting there in the blind for about 5 minutes, just kind of talking about what are we going to do now? What am I going to do? I've only hunted for 4 hours this year. I got $2. Like, this is crazy. We've never had a hunt like this. It was a really cool moment.
And I'm in my spot checking the trail camera app.
Yes.
And it was like almost gray light out. So the camera wasn't the best quality, and I see a buck in front of the Radix. You can see Isaac. He's holding the camera in the corner of the thing. I'm like, is that 7 card? Did that just happen? And then Caleb's like, smoke show, it's done.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
Done. Put it in the group chats, text my wife, like, it's done, smoked, game over. That camera that Ethan's talking about that was watching our food plot for all these months was able to capture the buck coming out and was able to capture my shot on him perfectly on camera, running off down, dying around the valley. Did
you grab the SD card out of there yet?
No, I have not. But just wild way for it to go down. We went back to the shop, watched the footage back, just like, oh my gosh.
It's funny. Isaac probably has $1,800 of the First Light camo sitting in the closet, and he was in gym shorts and a black T-shirt.
Yep, he was wearing a black T-shirt and gym shorts.
Was he in Crocs or was he?
I was in Crocs.
You were in Crocs.
Isaac was wearing tennis shoes. I was in Crocs. And when I shot him, I had no socks on or no shoe. My Crocs were on.
Privileged motherfuckers in your tower blinds with your nice food plots and Crocs.
When I shot him, I didn't even have my Crocs on. I was in my darn tough socks. I was wearing just a $20 Amazon wool black T-shirt and my QU pants.
You're gonna piss the neckbeards off.
Yeah, and it just. It was incredible. Jay came over right away. The brothers all showed up after their hunts because they had some miserable hunts that opening day, and we went and grabbed him out of the woods real quick. Jay brought Kaya back, his old dog. It was perfect. When we left the tree stand to head back to the farm, we walked across where I'd shot him, and there was just blood splattered everywhere. So we knew it was a good heart shot. The video, when we watched it back in the shop, we confirmed it was a good heart shot. When we went to look for him. We followed the blood for about 20 yards into the woods and found where he had rolled down a hill, and he didn't even make it to the bottom of the hill. Yeah. Piled up dead. Had our little moment in the woods, taking our video, and all the brothers there, and it was really cool. And the lighting was good, and just from a filming standpoint, it's exactly what you could want. Got him back to the shop. A lot of the guys stopped over. It wasn't as big of a deer shot party as you would expect for someone killing a nice buck on film like that opening day, because we had just had a party the night before. Mm-hmm. So a lot of guys were with their families or doing their weekend thing. So it wasn't a huge deer shot party, but the big thing that sucked was it was hot out. So I had to, we weighed him first, guts in, 186 and change. So 186 pound deer this time of year, not too bad. His tarsals had no urine on him at all. This buck hadn't peed on his tarsals one time yet. No stink to him at all. Unlike your buck in Kentucky that you were hunting, that one,
he was stinky.
He was stinky, but yeah. And then we gutted him out, caped him, and I quartered him that night and got him on ice in a cooler and got the head in the freezer. Yeah. And unfortunately, when it's warm like this early season, you can't let him hang. I would have loved to have left him in the shop for a week, let him hang, let the guys all come over and just, do the deer shop thing and enjoy him and tell the stories and have him hanging in there. But
when you kill 2 bucks in September, you can't have that privilege.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, the weather just didn't play with us. We're going to get that walk-in cooler eventually. Eventually, we're going to get that walk-in cooler. But, looking back, it's weird that I've hunted 2 times. I've killed 2 bucks, and my season's pretty much over until we start dabbling in West Virginia. My work schedule is not good, and Lindsay's work schedule is not good. Lindsay has a growing list of things she wants me to get done, especially now that I have no reason.
It's a good year for it.
Yeah, so I'm going to do the family man thing for a while now, actually. I think I'm not going to hunt much this October. Like I said, a lot of work, a lot of family, a lot of projects, a lot of family stuff. I can take my daughter trick-or-treating and not feel like, thanks, or it's Halloween, like I'm not in the woods. I can do all the stuff that a new dad's supposed to do, and that feels really good. So I gotta make up some ground there.
We are kicking around an Indiana trip idea.
Yeah. I did reschedule my West Virginia trip. So I had to cancel my West Virginia archery trip because of Halloween and some of the responsibilities I had. But I was able to get it rescheduled for actual Halloween because no one's doing trick-or-treat on Halloween this year, which is weird. They're all doing it the week before. So
it's Halloween on a Friday?
Yeah, and everyone's trick-or-treating the Saturday before that.
That makes no sense. I hate that.
Yeah, I hate that too. But it works out better for hunting, actually. So we're going to get to West Virginia late October for a 3 or 4 day bow hunt. Me, Gore, and his dad, Kevin, and whoever wants to possibly be allowed to join us. And it'll be that'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Probably late October.
Yeah, it'll be Halloween weekend.
If I kill in Ohio before then, I'm probably going to Indiana.
I do want to get to Indiana. I might find a way in November to get out there. Isaac really wants to get to Pennsylvania in early November. So we will have some trips coming. We will have West Virginia, Indiana, and or Pennsylvania at the end of the month. Up until then, it might be a little thin on the Deer Camp Chronicles videos. It's still in the lower 80s, upper 70s. The nights are starting to get cool, which is nice. There's some rain coming in this week. So hopefully that fall weather starts to shift a little bit and we start getting into better.
There's also a good chance I'm going to do doe patrol early this year, vice late.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it depends. Like I said, I'm probably going to take the rest of October off, but I might donate some deer, especially if there's some guys from work that want to pay for some processing and or the food pantry type deer, the deer donation spots. It's easy just to shoot it, gut it, throw it in the back of the truck, take it to the processor for that, donate it, and be done. Because you need to do some doe patrol on our farms. All our farms need doe patrol.
Because we have good winds with does in the food plots that need to die because there's too many of them.
Yes, correct.
And I'd rather do it in the 75 degrees vice the 12 degrees.
I would rather do it in the 50 degrees, but we're not going to get that for a while, it doesn't look like.
But yeah, I can't go to Indiana unless I kill my target buck.
No, you do need to spend some time on your target buck, even though it might not be able to happen until it gets closer to like a rut movement.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, but you're going to be able to, I have faith that you're going to at least have some encounters. I feel very good about this year. Jay's moose hunt was successful. Our Kentucky trip was successful. Opening weekend was incredibly successful. Dylan got close when he was out west. This year,
his group killed.
Yeah, his group.
Someone did kill in the
Someone
group.
killed the group. And when Kasich went out west with Seth, they killed one too. So everyone has had blood on their trips this year. Things are going well. Dylan's still hunting with his recurve, having good encounters with bucks. What happened with Freeman last night? He have a good buck on camera? Is he sandbagging?
He said he had a good buck. He just was covered in dinks and does, he said.
So Freeman's making a play on some deer. Isaac's going to get back tomorrow, I believe, or tonight? Tomorrow from... Where's he at again? Antigua. Isaac's getting back tomorrow, so he will start his hunting.
Kendall might do some hunting.
Yeah, Kendall might do some hunting. Spaniel hasn't started yet. He got a shot in his elbow.
He's an old man with an elbow problem.
He's got an elbow problem. He hasn't started hunting yet, but he's running. He's got brand new spots he's hunting around his new house, and he's got some deer. He's got a deer that he might shoot. He's not sure. He's got like a tweener buck that he feels like he might kill if he gets an opportunity. I went with Nick to get his farm trail camera set up on scrapes. Things are starting to kind of move in an upward direction there. I went with Danny Svoboda to get his blind set up and some of his stuff taken care of last weekend. So he's going to start filming his hunts there soon.
Everything's trending in the right direction. Luke's got his bucks.
Luke's situation is kind of staled out at the moment, but we know he's got his bucks around. He's just got to find the right. We need some better weather conditions to make this buck hunting happen in October. We need that cold. Yeah. We need that October cold front is what we need. Mr. Automatic, Ryan Kasich, I don't know how much of an update we're going to be able to give on him, but he's going to try and get some stuff done here soon. So his hunting wise. And
Luke just texted me. He bought a saddle.
Luke bought a saddle. Yeah. Isaac and Luke are looking at saddles. I'm the only one left. Me and Nick are the only ones left.
Nick said he wants to look at a saddle. He said that 2 years ago.
I mean, if you guys got these saddles lined up at the house, I'm probably going to try them in the yard, but I don't know. We'll see. If we're going to do this, if we're going to do the public land trekking hunting, the saddles might start happening. Oh my gosh. What am I saying? Nah, I'm taking a lone wolf.
You are. You'll be the only one.
I'll be the only one. Big bucks are killed close to the road. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. That's pretty much what's happened this week. Like I said, thank you to all the listener shout outs that we had. Thank you for watching the episodes if you have. Check out Kentucky. Check out the first episode, The Calm Before the Storm, that tells all the beginnings of these stories. And then definitely check out this episode that you just aired yesterday of My Buck. Stay tuned for our upcoming Alaska Moose podcast with Uncle Jay. There will be hunting podcasts coming up. Things could every day something can change. Someone could kill something, and we could have new action in the woods.
Yep.
So, it's an exciting time of year. We're really looking forward to it. Everything is going very well. We appreciate you listening. I hope this podcast was enjoyable for you. We'll get a bigger group together here sometime soon. I know we've been doing this.
Life is busy.
Yeah, life's busy. Life is busy, but we do appreciate it.
Yep.
Got anything else?
Nope.
Want to fire her down?
Yeah. This is Deer Shot Podcast, episode 113, and we are out.
Out.